Hello, beautiful people, and thank you for tuning into my channel. My name is Jennifer Diamond, if you're not aware, and I live a whole food, plant-exclusive, SOFAs-free, gluten-free lifestyle for health and well-being. And it looks like you caught me zesting some lemon, and I'm doing that because I am going to make a lemon blueberry cake. So I am going to be having some family over, and we are going to be celebrating multiple birthdays, and I want to make sure that there's a yummy compliant cake that maybe everyone can enjoy. And it's a recipe that I got online. I will link it in the description below with the healthy vegan eating. And so the first thing that we need to do is gather all of our ingredients together. So one of the things that we need to do is make some oats into oat flour. And so I'm going to do that right now. And so I have 1 cup here, and I'm also going to do an additional 1/4 cup. And that's what's so great about being able to take oatmeal and turn it into flour, so you don't have to use, white flour that's been enriched and isn't really anything that's going to benefit our bodies. I'm using the 1 Degree organic, glyphosate-free, gluten-free sprouted rolled oats. And I'm going to take, this is my dry container for my Vitamix, and I'm going to go ahead and blend it up, and I'll be right with you. So the first thing we're going to be doing is adding some of the dry ingredients into this bowl. And I'm going to set my lemons aside because we didn't finish that yet. But I'm going to go ahead and grab this right here. Now, this is almond flour. And we have 2 cups of almond flour. And the almond flour that I'm using is one that I got at Costco. And I'll show it to you right here. It's this almond flour, it's blanched. I usually try to get all organic. I'm realizing that this one doesn't say organic, but it does say gluten-free. And so in the future, I try to get organic, but get whatever you can. And so we have that. And then we're gonna go ahead and measure out our oats that we just ground up. And we're gonna just measure out, just to make sure. I measured it beforehand, but I wanna make sure that it measures accurately after it's been ground up. And we're gonna do the 1st cup here. Whoa, and it's a good idea to do this in a separate container in case it spills over. As you saw, I started to do it over the container, the bowl that has the other ingredients, and that's not good because if it does spill, then you won't have an accurate measurement. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to it, and then I think we need a little bit more. Yep, we need just a little bit more, so I'm going to add another 1/4 cup and see if I can do this gently and without spilling. There we go. Keep going. And any that I have extra, I can save for future in a container of some sort. I like to put it in either a baggie, but most importantly, I think I would prefer to just put it in like a glass jar from an extra spice container. So that's actually even a better idea. Anyhow, we do have a little bit extra here, and I'm just going to go ahead and pour that out so that we can set this aside for future use. All right, so far we've got our 2 flours in here, and we're going to continue to add all the dry ingredients. The other dry ingredients that we need is some baking soda and baking powder. I currently have this baking soda right here, and I think next time I'm gonna look for one that's sodium free, but this one is a gluten free. It's by Bob's Red Mill, and I'm gonna go ahead and use what I have right now, always looking to improve, and I'm gonna put 1 teaspoon of that. Let me grab another little measuring. These are so cute. I got these as a gift. They've got a J in them. I just love them. But my other one has some lime, or has some lemon rind in it. So we're gonna do 2 teaspoons of the baking, nope, I'm sorry. We're gonna do 1 teaspoon of the baking soda, 1 teaspoon. And this one is a half, so I'm gonna actually do 2 of them to make it equal to 1. Beautiful. And now we're gonna also grab some baking powder. I currently have this Sprouts brand baking powder, and I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons of that one. So this is a half, so I'm gonna do 4 halves to equal 2, and we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, and 4. I really like that this container has this little lip so that I can kind of scrape off any extra that I may scoop to make the measurements, whoops, flat. Anyways, we're done with that. And believe it or not, this recipe calls for turmeric. Now I have some dried turmeric here, but I also have fresh. So I leave it up to you, whatever you'd like to do. A half a teaspoon of turmeric. I'm gonna go ahead and use the dried one just because of convenience, but I do have the fresh, and if I was gonna do that, I would use the microplane and I would add it right in there. Let's see, so we're gonna do a half a teaspoon. Let me get my little teaspooner here. And this, I'm gonna use a knife. It's always good to use a knife or something that's flat to really make sure that the measurement is accurate. All right, now I love turmeric. I even take turmeric supplements. Turmeric has amazing anti-inflammatory properties that help keep inflammation and do so many wonderful things for us. And that's why I really like to use the fresh. I use it in smoothies and all kinds of things, but when I'm cooking or doing something that's just a little tiny bit, I'm fine to use the dry. Now we're gonna go ahead and whisk this together. Just incorporating all the ingredients together. We want it nice and mixed. Now the last thing that we're gonna add in here is a cup and a half of fresh blueberries. Now that isn't really a dry, I mean, I guess it could be fresh, I don't know, but that's what it says to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and wash these really quick and I'll be right back. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the blueberries right into the dry ingredients like it said, and I think I'm going to just incorporate them a little bit, just like that. All right, and I'm gonna set this aside, and we're gonna work on our wet ingredients. And the wet ingredients is a cup of medjool dates. Medjool dates are juicy, they're soft and moist. These, I did have the pits in them. I went ahead and took all the pits out. These are organic, I got them at Costco. If you don't have medjool dates, or if your medjool dates seem hard, you can always soak them in water for a little bit, or warm water for about 20 minutes or so beforehand, but just make sure you never cook with the pit in there. I'm gonna go ahead and blend up the pitted dates. And we're gonna add some lemon juice, which I haven't juiced yet, but you caught me doing the zesting on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the zest here. And then I'm gonna squeeze out and measure the juice as well. So we want a tablespoon of the lemon zest, which we did do, and I got these lemons from a friend, and they're homegrown on their lemon tree, and they're starting to go, so I want to use them up. Now, I also take lemons and go ahead and put them just like this, just a whole one in the freezer. And when I need lemons, then I can thaw them out, and that works perfectly fine. If you haven't tried that, you should. You could also squeeze out the juice and freeze it in like a container, such as like an ice cube tray or a super cubes or anything like that, in measurements that you think you'll use. And so these have not been frozen yet, but I do need to use them up. So I'm glad that I have this beautiful recipe that I can utilize all the beautiful lemons that I was gifted. And it looks as though we have some seeds, a lot more seeds than I thought. So I'm just going to go ahead and run it right over this colander that I love that fits the Vitamix. It comes in a set, and this is one of them that I use. And look at that, it caught all of the goodies that I don't need. And now the next ingredient we're going to add to this is some oat milk. You can use any plant milk that you have. I happen to be using the oat milk, and I use the powder from Joy. Here it is. I'll show it to you. I will put a link in the show notes. Joy, and this is organic oat milk powder. They make all kinds, but I just happen to use this. So I take some of this, I put it in here with some of my Berkey filtered water and mix it up, and there we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this in here. Very good. And the last thing that I need for right now is some vanilla. The recipe calls for vanilla extract. By the way, that amount of milk, that plant milk, was 1 cup. I'm gonna use this vanilla bean powder, and it's just a fantastic thing to use in place of vanilla extract. And the reason why I like it so much is because there isn't any alcohol or anything that's not just the raw vanilla bean ground up into a powder. So the only thing is that when you do use this, it is a dark color, and so sometimes it tends to make some of the dishes look a little bit dark in color, but I don't mind. And so I'm gonna go ahead and do 1.5 teaspoons of this, and then we'll be ready to blend it up. Okay, and I am running low. So some people use less vanilla bean powder than the recipe calls for because they think that it's stronger, and you certainly can do that. It is a little bit of a pricey item, but I just love vanilla, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the full amount in. And now I'm gonna go over to the Vitamix, and we're gonna blend this up. All right, that should be good. Now, in the original instructions, it says at this point we would whisk in the zest, but I had already put in the zest, and so it's already in there. But if you were following it to a T, then this would be the time that you would put it in there. Next thing we're gonna do is incorporate the wet with the dry. There we go. Nice. I do have a special spatula that I'm gonna grab that's really good for getting underneath the blade of the Vitamix. And I just love it. Look at this thing. So let's use what we have, because tools in the kitchen, as far as I'm concerned, the more tools we have, the easier the job should be. And I'm all about having assistance in the kitchen, especially with tools like this that are so simple. You can see what I'm doing. I've scraped it all down, and now I can just plop it in here. Hey, I'd say that did a pretty darn good job. What do you say? Look at that, clean as a whistle. Okay. So now I'm just going to gently incorporate the two into each other to make one beautiful mixture. I really love the flavors of lemon and blueberry, but lemon, I mean, it's just so refreshing. And even though it's not springtime, here in Arizona, we have a lot of lemons. This is like our lemon season. And so I just love to have different ways to enjoy fresh lemons from all around our area. And that's why if you are in an area where you don't get fresh lemon, there are other products that you can use. I also sometimes buy store-bought lemon juice, but I just make sure that that's the only ingredient. And, or like I said, I can freeze them, and it's just wonderful. Blueberries and lemon go just so well together. And my family really, there's a lot of lemon lovers in my family. So I hope that when we all get together, that this will be a big hit. I know I'm looking forward to it. Wow, doesn't that look beautiful? So now what I'm gonna do is preheat the oven. You could have preheated the oven ahead of time when we first started, but for my particular oven, it preheats very quickly and then it makes a dinging sound. So I thought that I would wait until this point. I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I'm gonna get the pan and we will put it all together and get it in the oven. Now you can use a regular cake pan, you can use a glass bowl, as long as it's high up enough, and I like the size of this, so I'm gonna use this one. The other cake pan that I have is very large, and then I have one that's really small. But I'm gonna go ahead and line this with some parchment paper. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put this back in. Let me move this over temporarily. And lock this up and place this in. There we go. And now I'm just gonna scoop this beautiful mixture right in here. Right into the spring form pan. And you don't have to use a spring form pan. You can use any kind of baking pan that you have. But this is the one that I'm using. All right, so I didn't measure mine, but I'm gonna guess that this is a 9-inch. I will probably measure it later. I'm just gonna try to hold the paper from moving around while I kind of spread this out as evenly as I can. It's too big. It's 10.5 inches. Well, I can go ahead and leave it like this, or I can move it to a glass 9-inch baking pan. What do I do?
The number you have dialed has been changed.
I'm gonna pull the glass baking pan out and play around with it. And hopefully by the time the oven is actually ready, we'll have a pan. Okay, so I was able to find a 23 centimeter Pyrex pie dish, which is 9 inches. And I was also able to find this one, which is a little bit bigger, and this is a Corningware skillet pan, and this is an 8.5 inch. So we've got the too big, the too little, and the just right. So let's see what happens when we put it in the just right pan. But honestly, it would probably be fine in this pan. But if we don't experiment together, we'll never know, right? And I'm gonna leave this paper on here, and look at this. Wowzer. Huh, what do you think? I think this is gonna work. Okay, so let me move the ones that we didn't use out of the way. And I'm just gonna go ahead and trim off some of this that we're not using. And the oven did beep, so it is preheated. And we're gonna go ahead and put this in the oven. There it goes again. It's always reminding me. And let's see, so we are gonna put it in the oven for 20 minutes. Okay, so while that is cooking in the oven, we have one more part, and that is to prepare the blueberry topping. So I'm going to gather a small saucepan, and we are going to put a couple things in there, and we're gonna simmer it for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll be ready. And hopefully we'll be done the same time the cake is. So right here I have what we're gonna use. These are wild blueberries. They were originally frozen. There's 10 ounces. I measured them on my scale. And then I also am going to add 3 more medjool dates. I have not taken the seeds out of these, so let's pit them together. And I store them in my freezer. They keep really well, and then I don't have to worry about going through them. But here's the pit. You don't want that. So I'm gonna add that in here. And sometimes you can also get something at the tip. This one doesn't have it, but if you see any kind of little hard thing at the tip, that is also an indication of something that you don't want to eat. None of mine had that today, so I can't show you. It's just like the part that was attached to where it was growing. All right, so we've got this, and then the last thing we want to do is add a little bit more vanilla bean powder. The recipe originally calls for vanilla extract. I'm going to go ahead and put, it's 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, but I'm going to do the vanilla bean powder. And I am running so low. I hope I have the full amount because, oh, there we go. I do. I think I just do. Time to order more. I love this stuff. Oh. All right. Very good. So let me grab a saucepan and we're going to get cooking. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pour all of this right into the saucepan. And although I can tell that the blueberries aren't as, totally frozen, they are still cold from the freezer. And that's okay. They might just take a few more minutes to get cooking. So here's what it looks like. All right. So let's go ahead. Now, you can burn this, so you want to make sure that you have a medium to low heat. And we want to really watch it. So I'm going to keep a close eye on it. I'm going to just turn it down even more. And something else I wanted to talk about, but I forgot to, is that when I was doing the lemon rind, I had forgotten, I was going to share this with you, but I've been making lemon rind powder out of organic lemon rind, or, like these here. Oh, I don't know what I did with it. But anyways, I'm taking it and I'm, using the inside, and I'm taking the outside skin, and only if it's organic or homegrown, and I'm putting it in my dehydrator. And then once it dehydrates, this seems a little stuck here. Once it dehydrates, then I'm putting it in my dry mix, like we did earlier, to make the oatmeal flour. And I'm grinding it up, and I'm making like my own lemon rind powder. And so, because I wasn't sure I would have enough, I was going to use this, but I had enough, so I don't need to. And the reason that it was you know, that I needed to like take a fork and kind of mix it up is because it was caking a little bit. And that's because there's no caking agency in it. I made it myself. So I just wanted to share that. You can do so many things with things that you don't think you have use for afterwards. You know, when you use the inside of the lemon or you use the zest, is there really anything left? Well, if you use the zest, yes, I would say the white pithy part you can get rid of. But if you aren't using it, well, and you have a dehydrator, consider dehydrating it and, you know, repurposing something else that you already bought. You already spent money on it. So I just wanted to share that. Yeah, it just says here to simmer it until it's thick and glossy. Allow it to cool. Oh, and once it cools, then we're gonna blend. Okay, that makes more sense to me. So now I have my question answered, because I'm thinking, I don't know how that's going to be so smooth, but we need to really cook it down. Then we're going to blend it after it cools, and then we'll be able to add it on top of the cake. So I'm going to keep an eye on it, and we're going to keep a watch on the oven, and I'll be right back. Wow, look at that beautiful cake. It's got some nice goldenness around the sides, and it seems fine. Of course, we'll know when we cut into it, but I mean, this is a cake. This is a cake that's not going to harm us. It's not going to harm me. It's all whole food ingredients, and I'm super excited to be able to offer this to my family at an occasion that I know is not going to harm anyone. So I'm going to let this cool, and I'm still continuing to let this cool. And as soon as everything is cool, we'll be back to finish up. Okay, so I think that the cooling pot of yumminess is cool enough. So I'm going to go ahead and let's add it in to the NutriBullet is the one that I'm going to use, but any kind of anything that you have, whoa, that will make it smooth is going to be great to use. And I just washed my cutting board, so I'm going to save those little guys. And so I'm just going to try not to spill anymore and get this all. This looks so great. Wow. And we just want to get it to have a smooth consistency. Now, you can see there's pretty much nothing left in there. Now, the directions say that if it is too thick, we can add a little bit of water just to kind of make sure that it's a creamy kind of mixture. So let me get a little bit of water. We're going to plug this thing in and give it a swirl. I did not mean a swirl. I meant a whirl. Anyways, okay. Plugging in and got this guy going. And here we go. All right, let's take a peek and see how that looks. Look at that. That looks pretty creamy. Let's see. Oh yeah, look at that. It kind of reminds me of the consistency of not really applesauce, more, not quite peanut butter, gosh, but somewhere in between there. And so I think this is going to be a great spreadable topping. I love it. All right, so I'm going to continue to let this, it's cooler now, cooler where I can pick it up, but it's not cool enough. So I'm going to continue to let it cool, and then we will come back when we're ready to do the topping. And so for now, stay tuned. Okay, so it's just a couple of hours before our family gathering is going to come together to celebrate some birthdays. And so I have just taken this cake, this lemon blueberry cake, out of the refrigerator. It's been chilling in the refrigerator. And I also took out the frosting glaze, and that's also been in the refrigerator. They're still cold, and that's okay. So there are a few different ways that we could cover this, top this. One way is you could take a piping bag or just a Ziploc bag of any kind, and you could scoop, roll this over. And then gently scoop all of the frosting in here. And kind of work its way to this corner, one corner. And then you would want to take a little teeny tiny tip and cut it off. And when I say teeny, I mean really, really small, because it's very simple to to cut too much, and then your hole is like big. So depending on the size that you want, it's easier to cut a tiny, tiny bit and work your way up, because you're not going to want to have it full of the topping and then cut it too big. But so then what I would do is I would take what's in here, pretending that this is filled with it and the tip is cut, and you could do back and forth designs like this. You can do a circle and just kind of spiral inside. You could do like a couple of lines in. Any type of design that you want, you could do with this. But for me today, I thought I'm just going to cover the whole thing and just have the whole thing covered. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to just lift it up with the parchment paper. It makes it much easier to lift out. And then I'm just going to, if it's stuck, you could just kind of gently take it down. And let's see, so I could do it here, but then I have to transfer it again. And ultimately, I want to serve it on this dish. So I could either go ahead and put it on there now, or I could do it and then move it. I think I'm going to do it here and then move it. And the reason why is because it's easier for me to get a lot of, frosting and messes up on the final thing. So I'm going to use this guy right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and just put it on there. This spatula is an amazing spatula for spreading on basically anything. Now, I can just do the front, depending on how much I have and how thick it is, or I can even do the sides too. But I'm just working on wanting to do the top here. And here you have it. So let's try to transfer it. Look at, this came out beautifully. Wow, I'm super excited. And there's the top. Okay, so let's bring our serving dish here. And so what I'm gonna do, you could just do it like this, but knowing me, I don't want that paper underneath. So let's see how I could do that. I could use a couple of these tools, and let's see what we do. I'll just start with this guy here. I'm just trying to get underneath the paper or on top of the paper underneath the cake. And I just want to scoop that in there. And then what I just want to do is lift it up enough so that I can gently pull the paper out. Oh, I hope I do it. Looks like it's coming apart. Oh, I might not be able to. Well, what happens? Goodness. I might have to call help. I am making a mess here, and I really would like to try to get this paper out, and I just beautifully frosted this.
It is beautiful.
If I lift it up, can you are?
I am.
If I try to lift it up, and if it doesn't work, we'll just leave the paper, or I might even just cut it. But if I try to lift it up, could you gently take the paper out?
Yes. Yes,
okay, so let me try this because I don't want to break the cake, and it looks like it is starting to break. Hold on one second. Let me rinse my hands. So I maybe should have transferred it first. That would have been easier, and then frosted it, but that's not what I did here. I like to show you guys real life stuff. Things that can come up, and let me just see. Is it under there?
Yep.
And, oh, it is tearing. Darn it. All right, let me just see. Can you gently take that out? Look! We did it! Yay! Thank you for helping come to the rescue.
My job is done. I'm gonna take a nap.
Okay. Okay, and so there we go. So there we go. And now I got just a tiny bit of the frosting on here that I'm just gonna clean off. Now, if I can, I would decorate with berries or candles. So there you go. Happy birthday. And let me know if you decide to try this recipe. What are your thoughts? Did you need to transfer it? Like, how did that work? Leave a comment. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and hit the notification bell. I would love to chat with you. Please give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed the content, and I'll be back later to taste test with you. So for now, we'll continue to get ready for the party. So after we turned the camera off, Todd and I were talking about different ways to do things, to really jazz this up, and he came up with a great idea. Zest. So I did go run out to the store to get some berries, but I thought, let's zest a lemon together and see how beautiful we can make this. Now, you could do it the way that I'm doing it, which is directly over the cake, or you could do it in a little container, a little bowl on the side, and then hand sprinkle it. I am short on time now, so I'm just gonna kind of do it this way. But, he's right. It's really a beautiful color, so you could just kind of, let's see, yeah, there we go. You could put as much on as you want, and make sure when you're zesting, the microplane makes it really easy. Just not to continue in the same spot, because then you'll get the pithy part, and that's doesn't have the greatest flavor. Another thing you could do, and I ran out of it, but there's a product called Vegify, I think is the name of the company, and they take carrots and purple carrots and cauliflower and different ingredients and dehydrate them and make them like a sprinkle, which would be really fun to do on here. I wish I wasn't out, I would show you, but I'll link in the description so that you could take a look and see what it is. They're not cheap, but if it's just for once in a while, you can do it. So look at this. And then I did get all kinds of berries. I got blueberries, raspberries, some blackberries, and even strawberries. And so you could take fresh ones, and you can just add them in any kind of design that you'd like. And I'll just put a few blueberries on the top here. And that's it. We're ready to go. Oh, that's nice. Look at that, that's beautiful. And we could even, you could take a strawberry and slice it up and keep the top attached and kind of have a fan look for the center. But I like the idea of keeping the flavors the same. This is blueberry and lemon. And so what I might just do, just for color, is just put a couple of raspberries. There, how does that look? Yay! We could put a little bit more, but I think we're ready to roll now. Whoops, I'm doing this backwards. And so I hope that you've enjoyed some of these last minute ideas. It's never too late to come up with an idea until you've eaten it. So we'll be back for taste testing. Thanks so much. Okay, so believe it or not, I was able to keep one piece of the beautiful cake, and it was a big hit. The party is over, but don't worry, we're gonna taste it together. And so here we go. It's super moist. It's got amazing lemon flavor. The blueberries are awesome. And no wonder it's gone. It is really delicious. I urge you to give it a try. Thank you so much for joining me today on this journey. And don't forget to eat your greens. Bye-bye, everyone. Thanks so much. See you next time.